Hi guys! Today I'm thinking about European Mediterranean countries where you can live for less than a UK state pension. As we all know, Europe is relatively expensive when compared to the rest of the world, especially when compared to Asia, Africa, and South America. But not all of the cities within the countries of Europe are expensive, and the cost of living figure given for a country is based on an average. There are many cities within the countries in Europe which have a much lower cost of living than the average, so the figures are somewhat skewed by the most expensive cities in the country. What if there were a list of cities in Europe which have a Mediterranean coast where you could live for less than the UK state pension amount? The table coming up shows the cities of the countries in Europe where part of the country has a coastline on the Mediterranean, where the cost of living is less than the UK state pension for the year 2026-27. Also shown is the amount of pension income that would be remaining after the cost of living is deducted, the population of the city, the quality of life score for the city out of 100, and the cost of living in the city as a percentage of the UK. The costs shown are for a single person per month, before any taxes are required by the host country. The pension amount is below the UK tax threshold, so will not attract any UK tax. Also, the UK has double taxation agreements with all of the countries on the list. Tax may be required by the host country, but is generally very low on this amount of income, or in some cases zero, and there are some exemptions for tax on pension income in some countries. The cities of the countries listed which have a higher cost of living per month than the UK state pension amount are excluded from the list. The spreadsheet could also be used for those who have a workplace pension and want to run the income at an amount to attract no UK tax, as the state pension amount is very similar to the UK tax-free personal allowance. So just on the spreadsheet here, so the first column is the rank of the city, the second column is the city, the third column is the country, the fourth column is the cost of living per month for a single person in US dollars, the fifth column is the cost of living per month in GB pound, and then the next column is the cost of living per month in euro. The next column after that is showing the amount of money in pounds that would be remaining after deducting the cost of living from the UK state pension amount of 1045 per month. We then have the percentage of cost of living of the UK, the population of the city, and the quality of life, which is a score out of 100. So at the top of the table we have the most expensive city, which is just under the amount of state pension income of 1045. So in this case we would have £1045 per month state pension income minus the 1043, which equals £2. So the city at the top of the table is Paleo Faliro, which is in Greece, where the cost of living is 1410 in dollar, 1043 in pound, and 1206 in euro. So this is a cost of living which is 58% of the cost of living of the UK. And with a rank of 4, we have Seville in Spain, which has a quality of life score which is the highest on this list. And there are 6 cities with a quality of life score which is the same, which is 84 out of 100. So as we head down the table and the cost of living decreases, we come to Rouen in France at a rank of 44, which also has a quality of life score which is 84 out of 100. We then come to Toledo in Spain at a rank of 57. At this point in the table, the cost of living becomes less than £1,000 per month. We then come to Aradipu in Cyprus, which is the cheapest city in Cyprus, which has a cost of living of 1296 in dollar, 959 in pound, and 1108 in euro. And at a rank of 95 and 96, we come to Torrevieja in Spain and Novara in Italy, which both have a quality of life score of 84 out of 100. And at a rank of 132, we find the cheapest city in France, which is Brest, which has a cost of living of 1227 in dollar, 908 in pound, and 1049 in euro. Interestingly, Brest has a high quality of life score, which is 84 out of 100, which is for the cheapest city in France. And then at a rank of 148, we come to Mojkovac in Montenegro, which has the lowest quality of life score on this list at 43 out of 100. We then come to Vic in Spain, which has a quality of life score of 84. But the cost of living here is only 1161 in dollar, which is only £859 per month, which is 993 in euro. We then come to the cheapest city in Italy, which is Trapani, which is 1077 in dollar, which is only £797 per month, which is 921 in euro. And just below that is Murska Sobota in Slovenia, which is the cheapest city in Slovenia, with $1075, £796 and 919 in euro. And at a rank of 209, we find Jerez de la Frontera, which is the cheapest city in Spain, which has a cost of living of 1008 in dollar, which is only 746 in pound and 862 in euro per month. And just below that, we find the cheapest city in Montenegro, which is Cetinje, which has a cost of living of 990 in dollar, which is only 733 in pound or 846 in euro. And below that, we find the cheapest city in Portugal, which is Bragança, with 957 in dollar, 708 in pound and 818 in euro. And then we have the cheapest city in Greece, which is Lamia, at 954 in dollar, 706 in pound and 816 in euro. And just below that, at a rank of 220, is Pula, the cheapest city in Croatia, with 952 in dollar, 704 in pound and 814 in euro. And at a rank of 275, we find the cheapest city in Albania, which is Elbasan, with 692 in dollar, 512 in pound and 592 in euro. and at a rank of 295 we find the cheapest city in Bosnia and Herzegovina, which is Sanski Most, with 629 in dollar, 465 in pound, and 538 in euro. And as we head towards the end of the table, we find the cheapest city in Turkey, which is Osmaniye. So the cost of living here is only 344 in dollar, 255 in pound, and 294 in euro. And the cost of living here is 14.1% of the cost of living of the UK. So the outcome is that of the countries that have a Mediterranean coast in Europe, the cost of living has a huge variation, with the lowest cost of living being Osmaniye in Turkey, which has a cost of living of only 344 in dollar per month, which is 255 in pound or 294 in euro, which would mean that £790 would be remaining from a UK state pension per month. And the cost of living here is 14.1% of the cost of living of the UK. The most expensive city is just short of the UK state pension amount, but still has a cost of living of only 58% of the cost of living of the UK. Of course, there is a trade-off between cost of living and quality of life, and the sweet spot would be the intersection between cost of living and quality of life. There are 6 cities on the list with the highest quality of life score of 84 out of 100. The first city on the list with this score, which has the cheapest cost of living out of the 6, is Vic in Spain, which has a cost of living of only 1161 in dollar, 859 in pound, or 993 in euro per month. This is a location that delivers a very high standard of life for a low cost of living. The city which is the most expensive out of the 6 on the list with a quality of life score of 84 out of 100 is in the same country as the least expensive of the 6, namely Seville in Spain, which has a cost of living of $1403 or 1038 pound or 1200 euro. The city with the lowest quality of life score on the list is Mojkovac in Montenegro with a score of 43 out of 100. Of the 328 cities on the list, the most expensive is Paleophalliro in Greece. There is a massive variation of cost of living here, and in the city with the lowest cost of living, you would have £790 of pension money left over at the end of the month, all the way up to the most expensive city where you would have just £2 left over at the end of the month. Turkey is the clear winner, with the top 33 cities being completely dominated by Turkey. There is a huge range of very cheap cities to choose from, with 110 cities being less than $1,000 per month, which is £738 or 855 euro. There are 97 less than $900 per month, 89 less than $800, 54 less than $700, 24 less than $600, 3 less than $500, and just 1 less than $400. So if you are looking to travel or relocate to a country which has a Mediterranean coastline for a cost of living which is less than the UK state pension amount, there is 328 cities to choose from within those countries, and a range of cost of living to suit all requirements. Okay guys, that was European Mediterranean countries where you can live for less than a UK state pension. I'll see you on the next one.